Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Raskolnikov broods in his cramped room, convinced he must prove something to himself. Hunger and pride argue in his head until neither will yield. Nastasia brings what little comfort she can, masking concern with brisk routine. She watches him like someone measuring a fever that words can't name. Raskolnikov paces the poorest streets, letting cold air numb his thoughts. Every storefront feels like a judgment. A suspicious older woman draws him into a brief glimpse of startling cleanliness and order. Raskolnikov leaves, shaken by how ordinary cruelty can look. Marmeladov talks as if confession could buy back dignity. His stories spiral through shame, love, and desperate need. Sonia holds on to faith with quiet endurance. She reads as if the page could keep her steady. Katerina Ivanovna forces precision onto a life that keeps unraveling. Pride holds her upright when exhaustion tries to bend her. Polenka tries to turn love into a promise. She prays with a seriousness that feels older than her years. Kolya carries small burdens without complaint. He learns early how to be careful with everything that spills. Lita makes tiny worlds on the floor and erases them to begin again. Her quiet focus is its own kind of courage. Pulcheria writes with hope and fear braided together. She believes a letter can hold a family in place. Dunya reads and measures every line, weighing duty against self-respect. She refuses to pretend the choice is simple. Luzhin polishes his appearance as if it were proof of virtue. He treats admiration like something he is owed. Razumikin works and plans with stubborn warmth. He decides that care must be practical, not merely promised. Raskolnikov approaches the lender's door with a parcel he can barely keep steady. He tells himself the plan is inevitable, even as his hands disagree. Porfiry studies the case with a patient, curious mind. He prefers questions that make people reveal themselves. A nightmare throws Raskolnikov into sweat and silence. He wakes as if his own thoughts have teeth. Raskolnikov times his steps and clings to details like lifelines. The more he plans, the less human the world feels. By the canal, Raskolnikov stares into dark water and listens to his own breathing. He chooses motion over hesitation. At the threshold, Raskolnikov pauses as if the wood and brass could speak him out of it. Then he forces his hand to move. After the murders, Raskolnikov scrubs at himself, as if water could erase memory. The cold only sharpens the guilt he cannot wash away. Raskolnikov hides what he took and tries to hide himself with it. Silence in the room becomes an accusation. Summoned to the office, Raskolnikov waits with his heart racing. Every footstep in the hall sounds like a verdict. Porfiry talks gently, letting calmness do the pressing. He watches for the moment a mind betrays itself. Nastasia brings water and practical care, saying little. Her glance asks questions she refuses to voice. Razumikin arrives with money and plans, determined to pull his friend back toward life. His loyalty is loudest in what he does. In new clothes, Raskolnikov barely recognizes himself. The fresh fabric feels like a costume for a stranger. A single flower captures Raskolnikov's attention, absurdly vivid against his thoughts. He wonders why beauty still exists at all. Pulcheria waits in a rented room, listening for news that never comes fast enough. Worry turns every minute into an hour. Dunya steels herself to face difficult conversations. She holds her dignity like a shield made of silence. Luzhin drafts his story in ink, arranging blame before anyone speaks. He imagines control as if it were love. Raskolnikov's temper breaks through his restraint. He demands that Luzhin leave, refusing to let cruelty hide behind manners. Porfiry rereads the ideas about extraordinary people and moral permission. He smiles as if he has found a hidden seam to pull. Raskolnikov sits under Porfiry's gaze and hears his own heartbeat. He tries to sound calm while his mind runs. Porfiry writes notes with almost friendly patience. He trusts time to do what force cannot. A stranger's sudden accusation hits Raskolnikov like a slap of cold air. He grips the railing and feels the city tilt. Svidrigailov arrives with charm that never reaches his eyes. He moves as if consequences belong to someone else. Dunya receives an unexpected offer and senses the cost beneath it. She keeps her face steady and her thoughts guarded. Razumikin sketches a new venture, hoping work can steady everyone. He refuses to let despair be the only plan. Sonia steps into a new room and feels every eye on her, even when no one speaks. Shyness and bravery sit together in her posture. Katerina Ivanovna argues over money and dignity until her voice shakes. She refuses to be reduced to a number in a ledger. Luzhin stages generosity like a performance. He wants praise more than he wants to help. Sonia is accused of theft and cannot find the words to defend herself. Shame rises in her throat like smoke. Raskolnikov exposes Luzhin's deceit and tears the mask from his polite cruelty. The truth lands harder than any insult. Sonia listens as if her attention alone can keep someone from falling apart. Her faith becomes a shelter she offers without conditions. Raskolnikov confesses the murders to Sonia and waits for her to recoil. Instead, he meets a grief that does not abandon him. Katerina Ivanovna forces her children into public display, chasing dignity through spectacle. Desperation makes her hands shake even as she commands them. Polenka stands with a small cup and tries to be brave. She learns how quickly a child can be asked to become an adult. Kolya holds his cap out and keeps his eyes down. He feels the weight of watching his family unravel. Lita clutches a paper flower as if it could be a charm. She does not understand the rules, only the hunger in the air. Katerina Ivanovna ends up laying on the ground, grabbing her arm, and the street feels suddenly too bright. Pride cannot keep her standing anymore. Sonia grieves in silence, holding on to the smallest signs of meaning. Love remains, even when a home disappears. Svidrigailov offers money with unsettling calm, as if buying distance from guilt. He leaves choices behind like coins on a table. Alone at dawn, Svidrigailov writes a final note and stares at the window until the light changes. He chooses a terrible end for himself. Porfiry quietly urges Raskolnikov to confess, offering a path through the wreckage. He believes honesty is the only door left open. Raskolnikov kneels in the market square and admits aloud what he has tried to bury. The cold air feels like punishment and relief at once. At the office, Raskolnikov steadies his hands and speaks the truth. The moment feels smaller than he imagined and heavier. Pulcheria's strength frays under the shock and worry. She sits trembling, clutching her shawl as if it could hold her together. Dunya chooses love that does not demand her sacrifice. For the first time in a long while, her future looks like her own. In a distant barracks, Raskolnikov endures isolation and begins to change. A simple token from Sonia becomes the start of a different life.